Kotetsu was standing tall in front of Tanjirou and was yelling at the top of his lungs his demands with a straight face and burning passion.
Tanjirou, please become stronger. And say this to him. That all you got, you piece of crap? Your hair's too long, cut it. Kelp head. Runt. Clumsy peg legs. Slice your belly open, shameless punk.
Tanjiro listened and progressively got more shocked at the words he was hearing. At the end, he couldn't take it and sheepishly said,
Kotetsu, that's a little too.
Kotetsu gestured with venom and didn't let him finish screaming over Tanjiro.
Is it better to slice his head off and hang it from the prison gate?
He was looking for positive affirmation of his hatred. Tanjiro didn't give it to him. He was shocked in Kotetsu's callousness and yelled back in shock.
No, it's not, I can't say that.
Kotetsu stepped forward with malice and continued his demands, screaming back.
Say it!
Tanjiro steeled himself against the intimidation of Kotetsu and chose to be the voice of reason. He responded more calmly.
I don't really have to say it. Tokito was awesome. He's smaller and younger than me. I can't lose to him. I have to become stronger.
Kotetsu refused to budge and switched tactics. Realizing he would not be able to bully Tanjiro into his way of thinking, Kotetsu stopped his screaming but kept begging.
Say it, please!
Tanjiro ignored Kotetsu and instead prepared for training by taking off Nezuko's box and his outer coat, folding it neatly on top under a tree at a distance he thought was safe from the training. Tanjiro stood in front of the doll and prepared to attack, but barely managed to block the attack. He was sent flying almost as quickly as the bout began. But this didn't stop Tanjiro from getting up and trying again. Kotetsu was nervous about this, but he reset the doll to let Tanjiro try again. Over the course of the next hours and days, Tanjiro began his training under Kotetsu. He would square up with the doll and practice defending and attacking over and over again. But all of Tanjiro's efforts were futile. He was unable to connect even once with his sword. The arms of the doll simply blocked, swatted or attacked Tanjiro over and over again. After one of these short flights, Kotetsu ran towards Tanjiro, concerned. It seemed like Tanjiro landed more roughly after this bout. Tanjiro didn't wait to stop before he started complaining. He kept rolling as he started screaming.
I'm gonna die. 6 arms is pretty tough.
Finally skidding to a stop, he hugged the ground, grateful that the world was still again. Kotetsu caught up to Tanjiro, gripped onto his uniform with all his strength, dragging Tanjiro's attention to himself, and screamed back at him with all the anger motivational prowess of a drill sergeant.
It has 5 arms now. That shitty brat broke one off, so its battle capability has decreased. If you die from this, you'll be nothing more than crap. Do your best. I'll say it one more time, so lift your head. You're moving by habit. You're not making decisions after watching your opponent's movements. That's why nothing working for you. Get it? Point is, you have no foundation. I'm surprised you've managed to stay alive as a hunter for so long. I bet you've been on thin ice this whole time. I'll make sure to run through every weak point you have, so you won't be getting any food until you can do what I say.
Tanjiro's bruised face was bloody and bruised, and his eyes, sunken and glazed over with the feeling of defeat and dejection. He hung his head and meekly said,
Okay.
A small aside about young Kotetsu. He is a naturally foul-mouthed boy. His foul tongue became somewhat quieter because he was sulking over his father's death. But it made a complete comeback after Taketo attacked him. It even inspired him to invent new insults. At the same time, young Kotetsu is also very good at analyzing. He was able to figure out the details of something quickly. But because of that, when he found out about his own lack of technical skill, he fell into despair. Since he was able to clearly see every detail of his own insufficiency. The detail that he ignored was the fact that he was only 10 and that he had his whole life ahead of him. All that said, anger can be a driving force to push people forward, and Kotetsu was ready to use his anger to fuel his life. After an additional forced flight from the doll, Tanjiro staggered to his feet and watched Kotetsu fiddle with the doll. Kotetsu glanced up and then back to his work. He pointed to various things as he explained to Tanjirou.
I didn't tell the shitty brat about this, but there are other ways to change the doll's movements aside from just turning the key behind its neck.
Pulling out a wooden box from a hidden compartment, Kotetsu said.
Do you know about wooden puzzle boxes?
Tanjiro looked with sparkling eyes fueled by fascination and nostalgia.
Yeah, I do. My sister Hanako had one. You have to move everything in the right order or it won't open.
Kotetsu nodded while fiddling with the box.
Same principle here. You can change the doll's movements depending on how many times you rotate its figures. We swordsmiths establish the weakness of the swordsman, then we make them fight the doll after matching its movement to those weakness. If we don't do this, then there's really no point to having a training session. Even without torture resistance training, I wouldn't tell anyone I hate about this even if it kills me. So basically, dolls work in tandem with their masters. As a result, Tokito just wasted his time.
Tanjiro shyly asked if Kotetsu would be willing to turn down the settings. Kotetsu gave Tanjiro a dirty look, but did as he was asked. But even with the dialed-down settings, Tanjiro got sent flying in cartwheels screaming in pain. Kotetsu hung his head in frustration. He wasn't expecting Tanjiro to struggle so much with the training. In his mind, Tanjiro was already ready for this level of training. Kotetsu screamed.
Tanjiro, you are too slow. That was utter crap. I actually have to make the doll hold training sticks or you'll end up dying. Get your act together. It's already been 5 days. Just so you know, I'm going to have the doll hold real swords starting tomorrow.
He was hoping the threat of mortal danger would spur Tanjiro to try harder. Tanjiro was already giving it his all. He buried his face in the dirt, cried and screamed at the ground with all the strength he had left.
No, but I might die from training sticks. I'm gonna die, if you change it to the swords now.
Kotetsu ran up to the crying Tanjiro and hit him on the back, screaming his judgment.
No food today as well.
Tanjiro screamed in agony and cried like Zenitsu without a hint of shame left in his body. Another aside about Kotetsu, his analysis skills are really good. But he's not a very good teacher. He's extremely strict with training because he doesn't know the limit of the human being. He is 10 after all. If his student can't do it, he doesn't give food or water to them exactly as he said. Humans have to drink water or they will actually die in about 3 days. But he doesn't know this. So it's a pure kind of irrationality. Dangerous as it is. Fortunately, the way Tanjiro only just managed to survive because it rained during his training, and he caught it with his mouth. This saving grace kept him alive just long enough. In other words, during his terrifying training session, Tanjiro had almost no water, no food and no sleep. This basically meant that he came very close to crossing the Sanzu River. In the mind's eye of Tanjiro, a touching scene played out. In a white robe, he was walking along the bridge, feeling extremely good inside, even if he looked like a skeleton. Unfortunately, then he got dizzy because of the empty stomach, and he fell into the river. The water felt very dark and heavy. But at the same time it was warm. It felt like human hands were massaging him all over the place. He saw something shining at the very bottom of the river. Stretching out his hand, he went to grab it while he was being massaged, and strangely enough, the glowing stone emitted a smell inside the water. Tanjiro's confusion only lasted a short while, as his eyes popped open and he realized he was smelling something. Looking at the doll, he thought,
"It doesn't smell like an opening. Blow to the head from the right."
And miraculously, with a hair's breadth, he managed to dodge that attack. The smell continued to whisper its hints, and Tanjiro followed through.
Neck, right breast, left flank, right thigh, right shoulder, incoming.
Tanjiro dived as hard as he could and slashed as hard as he could. Unfortunately, he did not brace his fall and broke his fall with his face, shoving dirt into his mouth and nose. To his confusion, he heard screams of joy as he tried to clean out his face. Kotetsu was excited as he pumped his hands in the arm, yelling,
You landed a blow, Tanjirou. It was so soft that it didn't do shit, but food. You earned some.
He stood proudly over Tanjirou with a sense that his training was paying off on the unworthy student. The words took a full second to sink into the bruised brain of Tanjirou. When he finally realized the meaning, he screamed his food order through tears and snot, without lifting his face.
Rice balls with plums. Tea. Super high quality.
Kotetsu nodded with approval and went to bring the food for Tanjirou as he recovered from the training. He sat nursing his bruises as he waited, thinking of the smell that he noticed. Kotetsu came back and served Tanjirou his food. This was Tanjirou's first food in 7 days, and he ate it with tears of joy, savoring every bite. Tanjirou has awakened. He has acquired the ability to predict movements. Now he can tell where his opponents are attacking from the smell. He realized this while eating. This smell can be detected faster than the lines of interval. Because Tanjirou's body is still inexperienced, his reactions and reflexes are slower than those of a pillar's. But now he has a strong weapon that can help him keep up with them. After the meal, the training resumed. Tanjirou kept practicing with the doll. Every day he was getting better and better at predicting the movement, but not getting much progress in the way of attacking and defending. After he saw the hit coming but wasn't able to get out of the way quickly enough, he rolled away groaning and saying,
Okay, I know where it's moving. I recognize its movements better than before. My stamina's finally back, so I can do it.
So the training continued until one time, with a jump and flip, Tanjirou avoided all the blades of the doll. Groaning with all his might, he said,
Okay, go for it, give it all I've got.
And was about to plunge his blade into the doll, but then Tanjirou hesitated, thinking,
Oh, but if I break it?
Kotetsu noticed Tanjirou's hesitation and screamed his encouragement with all his might.
Cut it down. I don't care if you break it. I can fix it for sure.
Under his breath, to himself he said,
Tanjirou, you can't be too nice if you hesitate now. But honestly, I don't want him to die because he's so nice. I want him to become stronger than everyone else.
Tanjirou, after hearing the reassurance from his young mentor, finished his strike, but slipped and fell on his butt, screaming.
Ouch.
The doll didn't move as Tanjirou rolled onto his face, rubbing his butt. Kotetsu ran up to the kowtowing Tanjirou.
Are you okay?
Tanjirou was trembling with a combination of fear and exhaustion.
Sorry, I broke the blade I borrowed.
Kotetsu screamed with pride.
It's fine, don't worry.
Tanjirou looked up through tears and sweat. He said,
What?
But glancing at the doll, he saw that it was shattered and a sword was sticking out of the chest of the doll.